This is such an important topic. It's all about how we can make our dreams actually work with Scentsy, how we can take all of these big plans and this life-changing opportunity that we have in our hands and how to take it to the next level to where it really, really can do something big in your life. So if you're wanting it to just be for fun money or for a pair of shoes or to help make ends meet, that's beautiful. That's life-changing. I remember when we needed, $10 to pay a phone bill, $100 for diapers, and that was life-changing at that time. But as life goes on and as your dreams get bigger and as those needs get met, you have a little bit more ability to dream bigger and lift those sights even higher. So I've got a little picture here and I'll show it later, but here are our two little friends we're going to talk about today. Here is Sally, this way, it's backwards, Sally and June. So just imagine in your mind, we're talking about Sally first. Sally sold 500 PRV. Yay, Sally. Sally got paid $125. That's awesome. June sold 500 PRV. June got paid $725. What's the difference? If they both sold the same amount, they both sold 500. Sally sells 500 PRV every month and loves the extra money every month to pay her phone bill. But Sally never shared the business opportunity with anyone, so her income is limited by how much she can sell. Though she takes great care of her customers and sells at least 500 PRV every month, she will still only make 25 or 30% at most of her sales. So that's great, but you're leaving money on the table without that opportunity of lifting your sights a little bit higher and being paid on your whole team. So it's not just in the 1+1, you can then multiply it. So let's see what June did. How did June sell the same 500 PRV but make $725? June likes getting $125 every month, but she wanted more money. So she shared the Scentsy opportunity, grew her team, and got promoted to director. It made her nervous at first, but she kept trying because she likes money and likes her team. Not to mention the free trips. Now June is working towards replacing her 9-to-5 and working from home. Way to go, June. So, how many times do we want to be June, but we feel like Sally? They're both selling the same amount, at least for this example in this one moment. But the difference in that pay was $100 to $700. Again, just because of the multiplier of what kind of a business we are in. If we all were completely independent business owners, then we would have to, again, figure out a way to sell more and then to figure out how to multiply that. Scentsy has already put that into our pay scale where we can sell, but then build a team and help mentor that team and guide and train that team and keep growing that team. And then you get a piece of the whole team. It's basically your leadership bonus, kind of as if you were the store owner instead of just somebody working at the cashiers. Does that make sense? Working as a cashier. Okay, so when we start our Scentsy journey, our dreams are huge and we're like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And our income is a little because it takes a while, but our dreams are still so big. Because you think of all that you wanna accomplish and all the sky's the limit when you join, especially when we talk about dreaming big and you think, yeah, I'm gonna have this car and I'm gonna make my dream board and I'm gonna buy a vacation home and gonna pay off all my debt, whatever it is that is in your big dreams, but realizing your income right now is probably little. Well, what happens is that life and circumstances and people happen, and for some reason we shrink those dreams to match our circumstances a little bit more. And then we think, this just doesn't seem possible. These big, huge dreams, I gotta make it a little bit more realistic. And then we shrink our dreams to match our income, or at least they get a little bit closer. But where we should be is to keep those dreams big and figure out how to make our income grow so that you don't have to throw those dreams out the window. So if this is our this is our dream, and okay, there we go. If this is my dream and it's here in the far distance and I get this obstacle come in, look, I can't see. It literally eats it up to where, there we go, to where this thing is bigger in my face and I can't even see my dream behind it because the obstacles are bigger. But if I make my dreams bigger, then the obstacles are just small. Look, I can still see my dream in that background. But if it's reversed and my dream is small because I don't want to be disappointed in myself, I don't want to fail, I don't want to go for it and say I'm going for it and then not make the mark, then I shrink my dreams. But then look, my obstacles are so big, I can't even see my dreams anymore. So what we need to do is remember, this is possible. It's even bigger than this. It's even this big, if you will. But we've got to make sure, because then you can't change the obstacles. We are going to have obstacles. That's just life. Sometimes they seem bigger than others. But if you can keep your big dream in the background where you can still see over those obstacles, sorry, that was a really weird object lesson. But again, keep your dreams big so that when you see those obstacles in your face, they don't hide your dream. You can still see your dream to keep you going, to keep your eyes on the prize. How do you do that? How do you keep your dreams big? That is by, again, just believing that it's there, seeing examples of other Scentsy leaders that are doing it, that are living the life that you want, not to be jealous or even compare, but just to help keep your own dreams, to build that belief within yourself that it is possible. What also helps me is to listen to trainings or even read books about people that have done it or about how they've done it. And then I kind of can carve out and see my dreams a little bit more. It makes them be a little bit more solid. So instead of just being fluff out in the universe, it's, oh, this is really a possibility. This is really happening. I remember sitting at a table. It was my first SFR it was my second SFR in 2009 and in Salt Lake City. And I remember sitting at a table. I was a lead consultant. That was my second one. So I was at least 2 years in or a year and a half in or something like that. And I remember sitting at a table at the awards banquet and they were giving away cars. And I mean, it was the weirdest thing. They had this, I can't even remember what you did to earn drawings, enters. I don't know if it was number of parties. I was not in the drawings. I was not even close. I was a lead consultant. And I remember sitting there at the table with my husband. We had these fancy little cute desserts that we were munching on. And I was pregnant with my fourth baby, I think. And I just remember looking to my husband and saying, do you think that'll ever be me? And it was fine. It wasn't like a pity moment. It was just a wonder of, is this really real? I see it's real for them. And that was kind of a light bulb moment of, I have been doing it just because, again, we needed a little bit of money for diapers and money was so tight that even $100 made a huge difference in our life. But that kind of moment where I saw it really working for somebody else and I saw other people up on stage as superstar directors and I was a lead and I hadn't really allowed myself to fully embrace that I could be there. And it's not just available for anybody. It's not just out there, but it's available for me. And I could do it too. And that's my biggest takeaway for you. The money, the title, the importance, the whatever it is that you're looking for, it is possible for you. The biggest dreams you can dream of, keep them big, keep them growing, keep them vibrant, because that's how you're going to get over the obstacles. And what are the obstacles? It's recruiting, it's sponsoring, it's growing. Those are so hard. They're going to be in the middle. They're scary, they're tough, you have to go outside of your comfort zone, you have to do things you have never done, and then you have to switch it up and try something else again that you've never done. It is a process, but it's a beautiful process because it's the only way you can get to those goals. It's the only way that you can be like our friend June instead of Sally. Be like June and sell at least your 500. Go for the stars, do at least your 2,000 if you can or more, but either way, tapping into that, June tapped into the power of her dreams. And Sally worked just as hard at getting that PRV. Maybe she even sold more, but she got paid way less. You can even see the potential. So this is an old income disclosure statement that I love using, and I loved when we used to have it because it shows the actual numbers of potential. This was clear back from I don't even know when. It was years ago. It was one of the first one they made us do. And I'll find it and put it in if you guys are interested. So it's this really old one, and you can see that sorry, it's backwards. I'm really not good at this. You can see where I've circled two different numbers. So in this chart, it basically just has all the ranks. So everything from essential, certified, lead, star, superstar, consultant, director, star director, and superstar director, and number of consultants per title, and the average that they make at that title. Fascinating. The minimum and then the max, like the highest amount that anybody's paid. So the maximum annual commission. So the most anybody made as an essential consultant is that year, I guess, is $199.87 as an essential. And that's probably because if they sold much more than that, then they turned to a certified. But still, the maximum annual commission for the essential is this little tiny number here, about $200. And then you go down to the bottom of the chart and let's see what the maximum is for the superstar director. At this time, whenever this was made, the maximum annual commissions for Superstar Director was $962,153.18. So is that $200 a year life-changing for somebody? Absolutely. I know it was for me. Like I said, I'm not even joking. I had to pray to find $10 to pay my phone bill 1 month. So even $200, that can be big. So don't discount that. But your big dreams, the big things, the big mountains that you can move in your life, that happens when you're knocking on the door of $1 million a year. So meaning there are people that do that. I'm not making $1 million a year, just full disclosure. But we made enough income disclosure statement that, results are not typical and you can do whatever you want, but it's not guaranteed. But my husband lost his job 5 years ago, and we were able, as a star director, I became Superstar Director in 2020 after 10 years at Star Director. Not 10 years as a consultant, but 10 years at Star Director. So it's okay if you're like, oh, this is taking me forever. I've been here forever. I just can't get past Star Consultant. It's okay. It's okay. There is no race but your own. And if you're like, oh, I just need to speed it up, that's okay. Then run a little faster yourself. But don't get discouraged if your journey is taking a little bit longer than somebody else's, because mine took a long time. But I was still able to help provide for our family on a Star Director income because of the business that I'd built slowly but surely in the nooks and crannies of the days with my kids, because they're my first job. They're my first priority. I have 5 kids. And I was able to do it to where my husband took 4 years to find a job that he really wanted, because he could be super picky and he could be home with the kids. He could coach all of their basketball and soccer and all the different teams. He never had to miss a school play. He would go volunteer in the classroom with me when we used to be able to do that pre-COVID. Just all the things, because that's what he wanted for that space of time. And he didn't want to go to a job that wasn't going to be a perfect fit for him. So that allowed us the freedom to have that opportunity. And if that's not your dream, you want something different, that's great. But for me, that was my dream. It was my dream to be able to have the life that we wanted, to have the freedom that we wanted. So again, that can only come with money. We don't do it for the money, because you'll never be fulfilled for money. But the way to your dreams is by making money. I have this, but I've kind of amended it a little bit. But I have this other chart that I like to show. How should I spend my time and where should I focus at each level? So at the beginning, you start out, you don't have a team, so you're not really leading your team. So you start out with recruiting and with sales, even as an essential consultant. Why? Because that's really the way that you can really piggyback and go faster. And then you continue to mentor and to lead your team, because again, the whole idea, we don't get paid for just dumping people on our team. Some other direct sales do. You get paid every person that you bring in simply by, you get like a recruiting bonus. We don't do that, which is fine, but we get to be paid on them for the whole duration that they stay with us on our team, because we get to mentor and help them along. I don't view it as being weird or a pyramid scheme as some would, because it's just like if you're the boss, you're the manager over people. And if your boss, like my husband worked for Walmart, he was an assistant manager straight out of college for a couple years while he was waiting to, anyway. And he was an assistant manager. There was the manager of that Walmart store made a bonus based on how well his store did. That's the same thing we do. We just don't have to manage a store. We get to be answering to ourselves. We get to be the boss. So don't act like the employee where I'm just going to sell more. And the more people I ring through this cashier, the more people, the better my score is. That's great. And I see a lot of consultants do that. And they stay by if I sell 3,000 this month, then I can even promote. Don't get caught in that trap. That's a beautiful way. And I'm not saying don't sell, but I'm saying don't try to get to your rank by personal sales alone. Don't try to stay paid at title by personal sales alone. Use your sales to springboard you to find new team members and help them and continue your personal sales. But that way you are not the whole team, but that you're all doing it together. And here's the cute little bucket. So our bucket has leaks. So what are our buckets? Our personal sales and our sponsoring are the two things that we control going into that bucket. And that bucket is how we move up the chart and how we make money. So why is that bucket? What are the holes in that bucket? When directors promote, they take it out of your team wholesale volume because they go and start their own team. And turnover or leakage or breakage or whatever you call it, people quit, or even if they don't quit, they just kind of coast because maybe life comes along. That's normal. That's how it's supposed to be. So how do we plug the holes? You don't. You just have to keep more coming in. That's why I say personal sales, that's awesome. But also you have two levers. You have to have sponsoring as well, because that's the only way that you can keep your bucket full. If that sounds discouraging, don't let it be discouraging. Just realize sometimes I'm higher revved in my business than others. And so your team's going to be the same way. And if something changes and they're like, okay, I need this again, or I'm pumped up again, or life has slowed down a little bit, I want to come back in, great. But if not, we give them the opportunity to choose. So I started in 2008, and these are a bunch of colors, and I will, yes, keep filling the bucket, because that's the only way. Even as a superstar director, I have to keep filling that bucket so that my team wholesale volume can be big enough to keep growing new leaders, because again, that leaves my bucket, as well as to have enough in my own bucket to be paid at title. If you are not paid at the title that you are, paid at title means if you are a lead, you're paid as a lead. If you're a star consultant, you're paid as a star. If you're a director, you're paid at director. If you're a superstar, you're paid at superstar. So paid at title means paid at that title that you have, the highest title you've ever achieved. So if you are a star consultant and you're paid as a lead, you're not paid at title. You're paid as a lead, so you're paid on some. You still get that leadership bonus. But the more you can be paid as a star, that's when you're paid at that title. And you do that by making sure those three pillars of your paycheck or your rank are there. One, your 500 PRV. You have to have at least 500 PRV, as you all know, because you're all leaders. So your own 500 PRV. And then, of course, your active frontline. If you only have two and you need two to be a star, well, again, that's going to be putting pressure on them to do something that you need them to do, but they might not be doing. So again, it's not enough to just say, okay, I have two frontline, I should be always paid at star. Plus, you need to be growing and always looking to the next level or two ahead. So you need at least three, but it depends on how active those are. And if your average is about 50% active, then you need four so that you can have at least two be active, so that you can be paid at star consultant every month. And if you need three to be director, well, then you ought to get at least 6 or 7 or 10, because like I said, you never know when they're going to start out gangbusters and then something else distracts them, or life happens and then they decide that, oh, I'm just going to coast for a while, and then they don't do it. That's totally normal. That's totally fine. We cannot want our goals and our dreams to be pushed onto them, because then you'll be frustrated. You'll be dragging them along. So you don't want to push them. You don't want to pull them. You want to partner with them and say, this is my goal. What's your goal? Let's help each other. Let's go together. And if they're like, my goal is really active every 6 months, great. Now you know what they need. And then you can help them at their level. That's my favorite thing. Is I hear a lot of people say, well, I have all these team members, but they're doing nothing. How do I make them get more active? Well, you can't. We can influence them as leaders. So my favorite thing is to not feel like I am bugging them. I ask them every month. I send them a link to a Google form. Just, hey, what's your goal for the month? In sales, in sponsoring, in just activity, like what are you aiming to do this month? And how can I help you? And then they send that in, and they send it in for a little prize, just something little teeny tiny, like a little sticker or something. Like I don't give big prizes, but just something to help them follow through with the things that they want to do, because we all need a little help. And then when I contact them through text or a PM or a call or even just an email to my whole team, I don't feel like I'm bugging anybody, because they've already said they have that goal. And I'm also not projecting my goal onto them, because I'm just helping them. Remember, I'm partnering with them, and they've said they want to sell 200 this month. So I'm going to check on them and be like, hey, how's that coming with your goal? Because then it's not like, well, I think you can sell 200 this month. What do you say? then it's my goal on them. Does that make sense? It's totally different. And then it feels like I'm creating the goals and I'm pushing it on them, or I'm dragging them along. Doesn't that sound good? It's a little manipulative. So I like to ask them what their goal is and help them find a goal that will be their goal. That way they're in the driver's seat and they're owning it. And then I'm just helping them. And then I get to be their mentor, their coach, their biggest cheerleader. We can brainstorm. We definitely can influence them and help with that momentum. Everybody needs that. But just be careful not to give them your goals or to prescribe your goals onto them, because it doesn't work. And then it'll make you feel frustrated and it makes it feel heavy. For me, at least, that's when leadership gets heavy, is when I try to, well, because as leaders, we see the potential. So when I try to see and project what I see in them onto them, and if they're like, nah, that's when it gets heavy, because I'm like, oh, you could be doing so much more with your business. You have this potential, you have this, whatever. And if they don't want it, then they ghost you, or they just don't want to do it. So that's a little word to the wise that I have done for a long time. Don't want it more than they do. So, okay, back to these crazy little charts. I told you I squirrel. I'm so sorry. That's just how it is. Hopefully it's entertaining. But so here is oh my gosh. Where is my paycheck comes from each source. Again, don't try to read it. Just look at the colors. Just notice that here at the beginning, here's 2008. See this big blue line? See how high it goes up? This was the whole year. So again, this is a year overview. See how high this blue line goes up? That is PRV for the percentage of my paycheck. So this first year, all of this was my own sales, and then the monthly bonus and monthly sales. There's no director generation bonus because I didn't have a director. So that's my own personal wholesale volume bonus and my PRV. So you can see this blue line, which is, again, my own sales, my own efforts. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So the percentage when I get here, so remember here, it was like 95% of my income came from me, or maybe even 100. Well, 95% was, and I still had downline bonus because the green is my frontline team wholesale volume. So you can just see that this, almost all of this, 95% of this came from my own sales, my own efforts, and 5% came from my team. What you can see is that continues to shift, and the blue gets less and less and less and less and less. The green is my team, and the purple is my directors. Sorry guys, this is backwards, so I'm doing a horrible job of this. But as you can see at 2016, look, you can hardly see the little blue. Does that mean I quit selling? No, because of course we have to do at least 500. In fact, if anything, I am selling more now, but the percentage of my paycheck is now less than 5% of my own sales, and 95 comes from my team and my group. And this was before I was a superstar director, so there was a lot of third generations that I wasn't even tapping into. That's where the money comes. First generation, you get 3%. Second generation, you get 4%, and you get 5% of your third generations. So it's okay. I tried to, if your team grows, and if you have, here's another really strong, another thing that I see. If you recruit somebody and she's amazing and she gets this really strong leg under you, and maybe she even gets higher than you, a lot of times I see the person saying, oh no, I should quit. And that even happened with me. One of my girls, her name was Mary, and I recruited her in Scotland. She was a referral of a friend. Anyway, she recruited in Scotland, and she was doing awesome. And she recruited this girl named Lindsay, and Lindsay just took off. So she started recruiting, and so Mary, the person who actually sponsored her, she was like, oh man, I'm behind. She's promoting ahead of me. So instead of using that to say, okay, I just need to recruit some more, my friend Mary saying, okay, she's a great strong leg, I'll just get another one, and then that'll help push me up. She quit. And she actually was like, okay, I'm failing. She's doing better than me. I can't keep up with her. And she used it to just fail and quit. I didn't think she failed. I think she just did great to find somebody who wanted to do it. So if that's you and you're feeling jealous or outshadowed or a little comparing yourself and feeling like, well, I'm not nearly as strong as this girl underneath me, see it as the biggest blessing of your life, because she will help you with that group and team wholesale volume. And then when she pulls out, she will always be there with your group wholesale volume. And she will get you some second and third generation directors that will multiply your business. So if this is you, and if you're in if you're in that seat and you're like, well, I'm doing all right, but man, I've got this rock star underneath me, but she's outshining me. embrace it, support her, celebrate her. Even if she is above you in rank for a little while, once you get to director, you'll be the same. It's okay, and you'll still be paid off of her. So if you are a star consultant right now, and you have somebody who's a superstar consultant who is really your downline, and you're like, oh, I'm not even getting paid off of her, count that, like I said, as your biggest blessing, because she's helping you with that team wholesale volume to help push you up. And once you're a director, you'll recoup that. Not recoup it, but you'll be able to be important in your level, meaning that's an important place that you can be the same level as a director underneath you, and you're paid on her again. So just keep a long-term view that, remember, you're going for the big dream. I've also seen other people in years past, like I said, I've been around for a while. That doesn't mean I know everything. It just means I've seen a lot. Another downfall that I've seen is when people see downline underneath them and they want to have them take a non-leadership role, or they kind of discourage them from promoting, because they're like, well, if you are an essential or a certified, I'm making 9% off of you. But once you promote to a lead, then I'm only making 7, and then I'm making 5. And so they kind of, it's horrible to say, because they're not doing it to be mean, but they kind of tamp down that fire of their downline, because they're like, well, if I can grow faster, then I can be ahead, and then I can keep making more off of you, which makes sense compensation plan wise for this very second, but only for this second. So again, like I said, let those shooting stars shine, encourage them, train them, push them, let them even outshine you. It's totally good. That is the beauty of our Scentsy compensation plan. Once you're a director and a star director and a superstar director, it will be one of your greatest benefits to have a nice strong leg. So anyway, enough on that. So here is here's another chart, and like I said, I'll show you this one. This one's a little less exciting to see. This just means I've made a lot more money. This is not there's no key on this side, so you can't see the amount that these are, but this is my commission check graphed by source. So if you add up all these different sources, PRV bonus, wholesale volume, team wholesale volume, director generation, or my monthly sales. So all these. So if you add up all of these together, this is how much I made the first year, this is how much I made the second year, here's how much I made the third year, here's how much I made the fourth year, and then look how it just jumps up the fifth year. Again, I was on the slow boat. It took me a long time to find people that wanted to do it with me and didn't want to just be fence sitters, which is totally fine because it had to be their choice. But this doesn't have to be your chart. You can do it much faster. But if you're doing it slow, it's okay. Just because you might be right here and just making about the same. I mean, it's growing, but look at this jump. Look at this jump, look at this jump, and it just keeps getting bigger. So again, this gets added with this. So these, again, the amount that this is actually way up here because it's this plus this. Anyway, you make more money as you continue to develop leaders underneath you. So don't just grow wide, help them develop and promote. My favorite way to get to director is working with the workers. Multiply, don't just sell your way to a promotion. I think I already hinted at that. Don't just sell your way to a promotion or paid at title. That's great, and it's a great last-ditch effort. But the best, strongest way is to get your whole team selling and to help them going for their goals. So you mentor to promote. So like a director, my favorite way to get to director and to help my team get to director is you get 4 stars underneath you, because look, each person at star, you have to have 2,500 team wholesale volume, 2,500 team wholesale volume, 2,500 team wholesale volume, and 2,500 team wholesale volume. And all of those 4 strong legs add up to you being a director, as long as you get your 500, of course. And that's my favorite, because you've got 4 strong legs, not just 4 active consultants and you're really carrying a bunch of it. That's okay. That's not a bad way to do it. I'm just saying, if your goal is to be the superstar director, your secondary goal is to start seeing and creating leaders. You cannot sell your way to superstar director. You can't. You can't sustain it. You can't do it. You have to have 4 directors underneath you to get to superstar director. And remember, this is where This is where our big goals come true, money-wise and life-wise, is when you're superstar director. So don't be afraid to grow and learn. Everything that you do should be focused on finding leaders and developing leaders within your team. So you want to grow wide, meaning you personally want to sponsor as many as you can through flipping parties, through finding new people, through asking people, through getting referrals, whatever, however that looks for you. That's why I can't really train you and say, this is exactly the formula, because it looks different for everybody, which is the exciting thing, because it's like a mystery. You have to figure it out, and then you have to tweak it and figure it out again. And then something changes, you tweak it and figure it out again. So the team that you have right now is not going to be the team that's going to keep you at director. Even if it will get you there, it won't keep you there. And it definitely won't be the team to get you to star director and to superstar director, because you're going to have to keep finding new leaders. And if you're finding yourself sponsoring people that really don't want it, it's okay. Maybe just find your approach and fine tune how you're finding, or who you're looking for, or look for the similarities in those that you have that are really good. Are they all, you know, from a certain source? They're all from a fundraiser. They're all from a certain area. Whatever it is, kind of look at your business and say, do I have any workers? No? Okay, that means you need to find some. Don't make the mistake of thinking, I'm going to only just mentor these little people in my little boat, and I'm going to make sure they all live their dreams, and they're going to get me there. Well, that would be great, but it's probably not going to happen, and you'll waste a lot of time waiting for somebody to decide that they don't want to do it, or that life gets in the way. So, yeah. So what are the things that you need to do? You need to be adding to that bucket. So personal sales, mainly because they lead to sponsoring, and then you just multiply that. So find a way to work with the workers and find a way to make it so that you have, I don't like the word systems, because I know that a lot of my team hear that and they think, I got to have all these systems. And then they go out and they try to find out all these magic systems that are going to somehow make all their dreams come true. But really, a system just means something that you do over and over that's kind of automatic, so that you know, if you love online parties, well, your system is a way that you're not recreating all those images every time, or the post, that you have it in a Google Doc and then you just copy and paste it. Or a system could be that, you know, meaning there's a lot of different ways to do it, but find your way to do it, and find a way, maybe your pen and paper. And maybe your system of follow-up is that you write everything down. Again, it does not matter. Just find a way that works for you, stick with it, and do it again. And then if it needs to be tweaked, find some other way. I found that for me personally, when I started, I had a newborn baby and 2 little toddlers, and I was like, I can't go to parties. So I did a couple home parties, and I did a couple of like bazaars and fairs during the holidays, and I love those. Those were fun. I even did a big, huge home show. I drove from Idaho to Minnesota to do it because I couldn't find any here. So I've kind of tried all the things. I love to do fundraisers. But what I found for me, the thing that worked best is when I went online. So I made a blog, and I started doing YouTube videos, and I started pinning my videos on Pinterest. And so for me, I could do that at 9:30 after all the kids were in bed. I didn't have to leave my family and go to a party in the evening, because that's when they're home. They're my whole why. For me, that's why I wanted to do it. So what works for somebody else did not work for me. That doesn't mean that I just push this business aside and I say, oh, didn't work for me. That's where you have to say, do I still want that big, huge dream? How am I going to make that happen? Do I really believe that it's an opportunity and that I can do this opportunity? Because I believe in you, and it's worked for me, but you have to believe in you. You have to see that this Scentsy business is the vehicle, and that you can do it through that vehicle, and that you need to be on with both feet. That will give you the strength to figure out how to do it, to push through the hard times when you don't want to go out and do something that's uncomfortable, or to try something new you've never done, or to learn a new system, or to try something. We've got to do the scary things. We've got to do the hard work. But again, you're the CEO, so you get to do the hard things to lead the ship, because that way you get the biggest blessings as well. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Congratulations for making it this far. You guys are directors. You guys are leaders. You guys get leadership bonus. That means you are in the top, I don't even know percent, probably the top 10%, top 3%. I think directors are the top 3% of the business. I don't know. Don't quote me, but it's tiny. You guys have made it, if nothing else, past certified. The huge amount of consultants stay at certified because that next step is scary. That step that you guys have already taken to find somebody, to mentor them, to help them get active so you can get at least lead and then move up to star and then superstar and then director. But don't stop at director. Don't even put your sights at director. You guys are superstar directors. And it's okay if it takes you 12 years. It took me 12 years. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Now I live the life of my dreams. I'm not a gazillionaire, but my time for money is way more than I could make anywhere else. Meaning at this point, I'm unemployable because you couldn't pay me enough to make me go work an 8 to 5. So anyway, do you guys have any questions? I realize that there are a lot of different ways to do this, and there are a lot of different ways to explain it. Hopefully you guys have gotten the vision that the opportunity is there. The money is there. Whether you just joined last month and you shot up to lead and you're just on the fast track, or whether you are kind of on a slow boat, the opportunity has not passed you by. The opportunity is here. It's now, and you can make it happen. But you have to sponsor. You have to put on those recruiting glasses and look everywhere for who can join your team. Find ways to make that part of your sales. I see a lot of times people just focus so much on sales that they never go beyond. When you pack up your stuff for somebody to come buy from you, a lot of times we're thinking, well, how do I get them to buy again next month? I'll put in a flyer of the month, or I'll put in the new, a cute little catalog cover so that they know all the products so that they keep buying from me. That's amazing. That's super important. But you also have to be always on the lookout for referrals. If they don't want to join you, who do they know that might want to join you? And for potential hosts, because again, if your circle is only this big, you've got to expand it because there's no way you can get to your SSD potential by keeping the same circle so small. You've already talked to all the people that you know and asked them to join you, and they've already said no. Okay, great. They might even be on the slow simmer. Maybe you'll ask them again, but you're looking for people right now who are ready to join you right now because they need the same big dreams happening as we do. So, all right, enough for me. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything about the compensation plan, about being paid at title, what some of those look like? Anything about I'm an open book, so if you guys want to ask me any tough questions about my business or how I got there or what it looks like, I'm all yours. So, and then I'll hop off because I know that your time is valuable, but you've got me for a minute or two. So if there's anything you guys want to ask, come on in. Like I said, don't be afraid because I'm not afraid to talk about stuff either. The good, the bad, the ugly. Like I said, I've kind of been through it all. And it is good. Like it gets to the good. Oh man, it's so good. My kids I had two daughters that were homesick today. One of them had a migraine, the other had a little cough. And guess what? I got to be a mom today, and I didn't have to ask my boss for time off. I didn't have to rearrange my work schedule. I just got to stay home and snuggle my girls. So anyway, all right. Well, apparently I did such a great job that there are no questions, but you guys are awesome. Thanks for letting me come share. I don't know if I even told you, my name is Becky Sattler. So I think I just jumped right in and forgot to even tell you. So if you see me at SFR or at leadership or anything, come on over. I love new friends. So come introduce yourself and give me a big hug. What was my favorite thing I've used any paycheck for? I'm a very practical girl. So my favorite thing is that we paid off $100,000 of student loan debt. My husband went to grad school, and it was a private grad school, and I'm thankful for it because it helped set him up for the life that he wanted and the job that he loved. But I hated the debt, and so that's why I joined Scentsy, was to pay off that student loan debt. And so I think that was probably my favorite because to me that was like this big backpack of rocks that I carried around because I saw how much we were paying in interest. It was 10.5% interest back then. So it just was a weight. So for me, that was probably my favorite, but I know that I'm not super exciting that way. There's probably way more exciting things. But for me, that was exciting. And I love that I can pay my kids. I can pay them up to $12,000 a year if they earn it. It has to be legitimate. So my kids work for me. I have an 18, a 16, a 14, a 12-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And so I am able to pay them in their savings account. So my kids have their college fund set up, and for our church, they go on missions. And so my kids' missions are paid for, and they didn't have to leave the house and go work for anywhere, but I can have them pay by working for me. So like I said, I am a very practical, not exciting girl, but those things are exciting to me. Debt-free. My kids have lots of money in the bank, and I get to teach them how to run a business. And then we just have money for whatever. Oh, I think maybe my favorite thing is a couple years ago, was it 3 years ago? It was right before the pandemic. A high school friend, her mom had lived in Africa for a while, and she was going to go back and do this big, huge humanitarian project, and they were going to go paint a school that she'd helped start. And then we were bringing like baby clothes and medical supplies and all that stuff. And it was super last minute, but she said, hey, I've got a couple extra spots. Do you want to come with us? So it was super last minute. I wouldn't have had time to make more money or make a payment plan, but because of my Scentsy paychecks, she said, do you want to come? And I was able to say, yes, sign me up. And I had to pay for it that day. And I said, actually, I've got two teenagers. My husband had to stay home and work, and he was watching the other kids. But I took my two teenagers with me to Africa, and we paid cash. And I had to make that choice right then. I didn't have time to just say, I'll go next year. Because guess what? The year after, it was canceled because of COVID. So my Scentsy paycheck makes it so that I can live my life when it comes and not have to miss out on opportunities for myself. That was amazing and life-changing. And I don't know, for me, that was the favorite thing that I've ever been able to do, because that was symbolic of the freedom that comes, the freedom of time. I didn't have to say, oh, I can't get time off work, or, oh, I'm going to be, working during that time, or, oh, you know what, we're going to have to save up, or I can only take one of my kids and not two of my teenagers. And that was such a great experience for teenagers to see Africa and to just learn to open their hearts and love those cute, cute, cute people. And just, we all left a piece of our heart in Africa. Anyway, I think that was my favorite. I'm a pretty simple girl, so I don't care about purses and cars and shoes, but I know that brings so much happiness to some people. So I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, for me, I think my favorite thing is the freedom to live the life that I want to live and to make the choices that I want to make, whatever that means. And so to me, that's the freedom that comes when you have choice. And it wasn't can I afford this or not? It was do we want to do this or not? That is the life that to me is exciting. So that's the life that is here for all of us. They have and travel is where I'm at with my kids. Yes, you can travel the world. You can travel. Before I became a superstar director and money was so tight and my husband wasn't working and we were making enough, but it wasn't enough really to be raising teenagers on. We had more time than money, I'll just say. We took a trip in our minivan from Idaho all the way back east, and we stopped and did team meetings along the way. So the whole thing was a business write-off. As you can tell, I'm kind of a nerdy girl. I love that kind of stuff, and I love business write-offs and all that stuff. And we drove from here to Washington, D.C. We spent a week in Washington, D.C. We drove up to Niagara Falls. We did New York. We did all kinds of stuff, and we were able to show our kids all kinds of amazing things along the way and have some amazing memories, and stopped at SFR on our way because that was the year that it was in Kansas City, and the whole thing was just so fun. Now we don't have time. My husband has a job. He was like, oh, I feel like I want to go contribute to the world, which is okay because I couldn't make my dream his dream. He wasn't fulfilled being home. It was the perfect buffer to give him the time to find the perfect job that he now has. He's had that for the last year, but that also means we don't have a month to just go take a little road trip. So, but I'm so grateful that, again, Scentsy gives me time and money freedom, and that is the opportunity that's here for all of us. So anyway, dream big, whatever that means for you. If that means to buy a brand new Range Rover because you just really think that's really cool, use that to propel you. If your dream is to I don't know, whatever your dream is, to buy a nice house, or to buy a second house, or to buy a boat, and again, all this sounds like money. Money will not fulfill you, but those memories that you make, and that choice that you get to say, do I want this or not, instead of can I afford this or not, that is what helps us keep bringing it all back around. That's what helps us keep that dream bigger than our obstacles. So you have to dream. If you're like, well, I'm happy with my life, I don't want to be selfish, or I don't want to seem ungrateful, so I'm just going to keep a little tiny dream. Again, it will be bigger, then your obstacles will be bigger than your dream. So remember, keep your dream bigger than your obstacles, because that will help you be able to see over those obstacles and keep you moving forward. So anyway, you guys are the best. Have a great evening. Thanks for coming to share this little bit of time with me. You guys are great. Keep up the great work. You can do it, and we'll all be cheering each other on as we go. So, all right, have a great evening. Bye.